So did you hunt with your dad?
And he taught me how to hunt and bought me a BB gun when I was 6 years old. I think he paid $5, brand new. It's a Red Ryder. I still got it. It's let's say 6 years old. I'm 85. It's 79 years old. 80.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's here somewhere. And it's out in the gun sack.
Wow.
And anyway, I played with that with BB gun. He shoot birds. And then he bought me a 410 shotgun. And after a time, he bought me a 20 gauge shotgun, which is more powerful. And then when I got to where I could buy my own gun, I went with the 12 gauge gun, the 12 gauge shotgun. And my uncle, Joe Dewey, would take me, put some birds that fly up right quick and scream. They got long tails on them. Pheasant. Took me pheasant hunting. And he said, now, if one comes up, he'll come up screaming. And you'll know that it's a male or a female. One come up and it gave the female sign, a squall. And when it did that, I was pretty quick on the trigger and I knocked it down out of the air. My uncle, my late uncle, he said, I told you don't shoot unless it makes a squall. And if it does or don't make a squall, anyway, it was supposed to be the opposite way, and I killed a female instead of a male. And it was private property, and so my aunt and uncle owned it, and that on Ball Mountain. If anybody happens to know Pontiac, my dad lived out in the country on a dirt road. We had a 15-acre farm that we rented, so we had a big pond with fish in it, and a lot of squirrels on the property, and rabbits, and so we did a lot of hunting, and that was a lot of our meat food chain. And oh, we had cousins by the dozens, and my uncle lived about a city block away, and he had 8 boys. His oldest boy married a girl that had 8 sisters. And so the place was busy. And my grandmother, my dad's mother, and his sister lived, we all lived together in a rented house, a 3-room house with no utilities, no inside running water, no toilet inside. Stoves were coal stoves to heat the house and wood stoves to cook, and a fireplace in each room to stay warm.
So you had to light a fire each night in each fireplace.
Yeah. We had one in the kitchen and one in the bedroom. They were back to back. You know what I'm saying?
Right, on the other side of the wall.
On the other side of the wall was another fireplace. And plus 2, we had what they call a warm morning stove. It's a warm morning belly stove. It's straight up, about I'd say a good 5 foot tall. That back in that day, the warm morning stove, it was as popular as the fireplace. I mean, everybody had one of those because it would keep the whole house warm. I remember I went over to see my dad one day, and he had a warm morning in the back side of the house, and that's where he slept, close to it. And I went in there, and he was in bed, and his stove was on, and it was red to the ceiling. The pipe was. I said, Daddy, you're going to burn the house down. He said, let it burn. It's paid for. That's the way he was. Let it burn. And it was an awful expensive home back in that day because when he sold it, he got $500 out of it. No, he got 5,000 out of it. 5,000 out of it. It was a three. It was a shotgun home, 3 rooms, all in a line. And they finally got electricity, and you couldn't run a big piece of equipment on the electricity because it was stretched out so far, and it was cheap to wire. And, I mean, we weren't poor. You spelled it with 2 P's, PP. we were poor. If we didn't kill squirrels and rabbits and ducks and chickens, we didn't have anything to eat. Those squirrels sacrificed their lives for a lot of us.
So he would go. You were telling me he would go sometimes and hunt them for breakfast. So who cleaned them? Did you clean them or he cleaned them?
Depends on who killed it. If I killed it, if I was big enough at that time, because I went hunting when I was barely could walk. I had a little 410, a little short gun, about the size of a BB gun, and I'd kill squirrels with it. And I'd bring it to Daddy because he could skin one in a minute or two. I couldn't. I wasn't strong enough to pull the skin off of a squirrel. You never cleaned a squirrel, have you?
No.
They're okay. The skin's rough to get off.
Right. Right. So, they do have a tough hide.
But they taste good if they're fried right. And we didn't have a refrigerator. We had a ice box. And once a week, the truck come by and brought us 50 pounds of ice. 50 cents a block. 50 pound a block. 50 pound would be half of that.
Right. It'd be about like this.
About a foot wide and 2 feet long.
7 gallon jugs.
I guess.
Water's 7 pounds per gallon, so it'd be 7 gallons frozen.
Yeah.
With that big.
Yeah, the big
ice pick thing.
I forget what they call it. But anyway, that block of ice, I couldn't pick one up. The man picked them up. Now, the guy that delivered it, he had that big fork.
Right.
Picked up. I mean, heavier it was, the tighter it cooked. He had those. And again, those things are selling today for $50 to $100 out of wood. Some of it was cheap. But back in those days, they were compared to the refrigerator in price.
Yeah.
And, but you had to have one to keep the eggs cool, and if you had milk, of course, most of the time you go out and get your milk fresh out of the cow, and then you put it in the refrigerator and cool it down. That's it. We were poor.
No. Yeah, I can definitely. So what? How, how I remember the story of him at one point. You know, he had to sell his car
to get groceries. Yeah, he walked 2 miles. I may be wrong, but it was either 1 or 2 miles. It was from the house to the Y. It was 2 miles. It was almost a mile from the house to town. He had to walk through town to the Y, hitchhike to Greenville and do his shopping up there and stand out on the highway and hitchhike home with both arms full of groceries. And then when you get to the Y, you had to walk back with those two arms full of groceries.